Hello, Tara. How are you today?
Hello, my love. I am so happy because spring has sprung and we're coming out of the darkness of winter. All of my clients had been complaining about how sad they feel, so I'm so happy that things are turning around.
I know we're headed to beach season, so we are looking forward to that. How's your beach body coming?
Well, it's coming. It's on the seafood diet, right? I'm seeing food and I'm eating it. But I mean, working out is part of my daily routine. But once you hit a certain age, it's hard to keep the body that you once had, but I'm grateful for the one that I have.
I mean, that's you got to look at the bright side, right?
I know, I'm healthy. I'm not too shabby. So today in studio, we have Marci Hopkins, who we know and love as the host of Wake Up with Marci, and she is also the author of Chaos to Clarity, Seeing the Signs and Breaking the Cycles, among many, many other things. Marci, welcome to the Well Off podcast.
Thank you so much. It's
Welcome.
so wonderful to be here. And I too am excited that spring is coming. I am ready for the warm weather.
So
Yes. Go ahead.
we are so excited that you're here today. And could you just share with our listeners about all the amazing things that you're doing currently?
Well, thank you. Well, I actually just pivoted with the show Wake Up with Marcy, and I have now launched it as a podcast. And I also have episodes that are going to be on USA Today. And I'm really excited because I've become a media partner with USA Today, so I can extend opportunities to everyone. And I'm also going to be writing, and so it's just really an incredible opportunity. And I'm really glad I've made this shift. Also, the author, as you said, Chaos to Clarity. I just continue to push my book. It's just so important to me to get that message out there. I just recently won the International Impact Book Award. I'm up for a couple of other awards.
Congratulations.
Yes,
Thank
congrats.
you. And the book is coming out in Spanish. So I'm just so grateful for the exposure that the book is getting and continuing to get so that I can help more people through the message of my book. I also have a collaborative book coming out with a group called Women Thrive. The book is Women Thrive Volume 4, and it's all inspirational stories with like 15 women. And, we get really raw in our chapters about what has happened to us and the transformation that we have gone through and how we have gotten to where we are today, and just to inspire others to know that they can be and do anything that they want in this life, no matter what life has handed them. I also have a chapter that's going to be coming out in a book with Les Brown and motivational speaking. And, I just continue to try to push my message, grow, and be of service and help others. So that's what I truly enjoy, and I'm grateful to be on this mission today.
I love that. So tell us a little bit about Wake Up with Marcy. It started in New Jersey. Tell
Yeah.
us how that got going. And I know Dr. Tara was a guest on your show. So tell us about that.
Yeah. So I had actually a Facebook Live show called Coffee with Marcy. And about a year into it, I had someone come to me and he wanted to put my show on his streaming network. And at that time, it was called, well, actually, it's called On NJ. And so I was so grateful, and then he became my producer. And it was through our relationship that Wake Up was born, because he was launching another show on a cable network called U2 America. And I had said, I was on vacation in Long Beach Island in New Jersey, and I'm like, it's just crazy. I've been wanting to launch a show, really just sharing about the hardship, but the triumphant side of it, like how people have gotten through difficult times in life to spread hope. And he said, let's go for it. And
Wow.
in that day, because my other show was called Coffee with Marcy, in that day I came up with Wake Up with Marcy. Now, I haven't really pushed this much, and I think I may do this more in my podcast, but Wake Up is about wake up in your life, wake up your subconscious, right? And
Right.
become a morning show like Wake Up with Marcy. And that's great. But it really is about waking up to your life. And so that's what I really want people to get from the messaging. And I now am going to really do a deep dive into self-discovery and get really raw in conversations. I've been so grateful for the show. It's been 7 years. I have since, during that time, I got on WLNY TV in the tri-state area, which was owned by CBS. I was in Idaho Falls. I was in parts of California, all on major broadcast networks. Really, really grateful for that journey. And I will tell you, it was very, very hard for me to make that decision to let that go. I mean, I'd
Hmm.
won 3 Telly Awards, I'd won 2 Anthem Awards. The show was just continuing to grow. But for me, it didn't feel right anymore. And that's when I knew after about a year, I had to listen. I had to listen to what was right for me. And I had made this big change to be a snowbird here in Florida. So life was changing. I was not going to be around my studio in New Jersey anymore. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to make this shift and we're just going to wake up with Marci bigger and better and just push the message even further.
Wow, there's just so much that you've shared that I want to unpack in a
Yeah.
short amount of time, but I think that this is just what you punctuated with, that you have to listen to that inner voice and your intuition. Sometimes on the outside, what might look like a shocking decision is the right way to pivot. And I appreciate the fact that, you really want to use your platform and your voice. And on a talk show, everything is quick, quick, quick. But now you like us can have this opportunity to have more detailed discussion with people that can continue to spread your message. And
Yeah.
we know who you are, like I said, but I don't know that all of our listeners might know about your journey to recovery and how that really fuels everything that you do. So can you talk about that with our listeners?
Yeah, actually, before you say that, I was just going to ask, like, what is your message? You keep talking about this message. So, yeah, tell us about your journey and the message you're trying to push.
So listen, we all have a story. We all have difficult times, but for me, my difficulty was I was raised with abandonment issues, alcoholic parents, there was sexual abuse, there was physical abuse. So there was a lot of abuse and moving in between my mother, my grandparents, schools. There was never any real roots for me. So life was pretty difficult for me. And the one thing that I always saw was drinking alcohol. So that is what I turned to cope. There was a time where when I was 12 years old and the abuse started, the sexual abuse from my stepfather, I completely lost the person that I was. I didn't know who I was anymore. I lost love for myself. I started living in fear and hate and shame, and I didn't want to live anymore.
Hmm.
And also, like, my mother was told about this and she didn't leave. And then there was another time that I told my mom and she didn't leave. And so, as you can imagine, um, it was really, really, really hard for me. So when I got out of high school, I kind of left the house and I didn't look back. But I never really had any guidance. I didn't know what direction that I was going to go in life. And I ended up finding through some testing that I had this passion for television, for the music and video business. And I actually went to the Art Institute and I ended up graduating. And let me just say this, life looked like after that I had it pretty darn good. I was being promoted in work. I was moving from Houston to Colorado to LA, being promoted. I ended up meeting my husband in LA, and he was an executive, and we created this life together. So life looked really good, and there was a lot more in that story. But the common thing that I did have is that I lived in victimhood. I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to be loved. I was a chameleon, so I was always trying to be whatever anybody else wanted me to be because I completely lost myself. And then I was drinking every day, a couple glasses of wine, right? So, that 5 o'clock happy hour,
Hmm.
just when you get home from work or when you have the kids and you're cooking dinner, that was the norm for me. And so when I got into my piece, we're living in New Jersey. We have 2 kids. My husband is working all of the time. And I decide to go and pursue a lifelong dream of mine to be in front of the camera, to be a commercial print model and get involved in acting. That was something I always wanted to do in my younger years. All these things started coming into my life that created this ability to pursue this dream. But what happened was during this time, I was going through perimenopause. So I was having like the darkness was real.
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to be everything to my kids because I never wanted them to ever feel what I felt.
Yep.
And I never ever wanted them to feel abandoned. And I always wanted to be there. But then on the other hand, when I get involved in something, I'm all in. So I wanted to go to the city, New York. I'm 25 miles from the city. So this was a pretty easy thing for me to consider doing for myself, right?
Yeah.
So I got the agents. I started going to the schooling, and because acting is not easy. It is a very actually difficult
Yes.
road to
Mhm.
pursue. And also what was happening is that I was so insecure when I would go into those audition rooms, like the perspiration, like I couldn't, when I was even an executive at Fox, I couldn't speak in a meeting. Okay. And then now I'm expected to go in these rooms, be judged all the time, perform in some capacity, and try to get the job almost every day. Right. So
Yeah.
kind of know what it's
Sounds
like.
like torture, Marci.
Yeah. It's not fun.
Self-inflicted.
One thing that I ended up always going back to and started elevating was my drinking. So that became my liquid courage. So fast forward, my drinking was elevated. My husband and I were going through a very, very difficult time. I was hating life. And things were really starting to crumble in my life.
Were you back in Victim-Ville or victimhood? I want to go back to that word that you said because I really like I never heard that.
So when you are a victim, you never think you're doing anything wrong. You always think that people are wronging you. You
Right.
never can really see your role in anything. And
Yeah.
so you are constantly in a state where you just think everyone's against you, or if you're in an argument, you just want to be so right. You hurt me so bad, right? So
Yeah, totally know those.
yeah, the thing is when like you're abused, it becomes a way that you're coping. And then when you move into your adulthood, it no longer serves you.
Right. And it's the trauma that makes us look outward, not inward, because of what has happened to us.
Yeah. And so I was always looking for validation and love and just and listen, I mean, my husband really couldn't give it to me because he didn't know how, because in the home he was raised in, that's not what you really had. And then he was pursuing his career. And so there was just the hurricane was a brewing, you know what I'm saying? So
Yes, yes.
the final straw, the final day I drank was October 3rd, 2015. I'd gone on a modeling gig. I had gone to the mall because I was going to be modeling one of the brands that was there. And I ended up going to the wrong mall. And the irony of that is I was going up the escalator and I was saying to myself, Marci, you don't need the liquid courage. You can do it. You don't need your wine. You don't need your wine. Then I found out I was at the wrong mall. This is how crazy it was at that time. I get into my car. I am in such chaos and a frenzied state. I start drinking the wine and driving as fast as I can to get to the other mall.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So things had gotten that bad.
Yeah. And we've talked a lot about this with other guests, like what's your rock bottom?
Yeah.
Right? You know, so for you, that was it.
That was it. That day spiraled out of control and I went to bed a victim, angry. Why did this happen to me? My husband was around more. I was loved, everything.
Wait, did something happen or did you make it there safely? What happened?
I made it there safely. I ended up walking the show, but then I went out with my girlfriend after and we drank more and I wasn't really eating. I'm sure you've heard that term, I drink my calories instead of eat them.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
So that's what I was doing. I was barely eating. And so here I am. I'm with this woman that's 6 foot tall, having a hamburger, drinking her drinks. And oh, by the way, she probably didn't have the half a bottle of wine like I had prior. I barely had anything to eat. And then we go for lunch and I have like a small piece of fish. And it was
spiraled. It spiraled.
Big storm. And I ended up getting a DUI that evening. Yeah. But I will tell you, I am so grateful that I ended up getting that, because
Mm-hmm.
what happened is while I did go to bed that night feeling like, why
Were
does
you
this
in jail?
me? You know what? It was actually not a terrible experience. I'm in a nice
Okay.
community, and they took me to the police, not the jails, but where the police stations are. And I did get the breathalyzer and all, and I did sit in a holding room, like a room, but I was never put in jail. My husband ended up coming and picking me up. So I honestly believe that God was like, okay, Marci, if you need a consequence, because I was praying every night, how can I drink normally? I mean, like, this was something that I was
Mm-hmm.
dealing with for a good year.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
knew that things were not going the right direction. So it was kind of like that. Here's your consequence. Now, I'm going to make it as easy as I can, even though it's such a detrimental thing. So I went to bed that victim, and I woke up the next morning, and it was just like, oh my God, Marci, what are you doing? You are about to lose everything that you
Mm-hmm.
built in your life. And then also just the shame and the guilt of getting behind the wheel of a car, and the possibility of what I could have done to somebody else, or taken my children's mother away, me. And
Yeah.
it just, I was just in that moment like, okay, God, I mean, I surrender. I surrender. I need help. I need help
I
desperately.
have to commend you on that because there are so many people that hit rock bottom
Yeah.
and end up in jail or not. And it's not their wake up call. And
Yeah.
they continue to do it over and over and over. And then, till it's detrimental to somebody or themselves. So I commend you for, having the wherewithal to put a stop to it. So that started your journey into, kind of pumping out this message of
Mhm.
taking care of yourself. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, so honestly, a big part of that story was that morning I went downstairs and my husband was up, and I sat down with him, and I ended up telling him, like, I'm so sorry, and I am so ashamed, and I'm an alcoholic, and you can imagine tears are just streaming down my face. And he ended up embracing me, and it was the first time that I had felt love, the love that I'd always been looking for, and all
Mm-hmm.
right in front of me, but I didn't even recognize it.
Mm-hmm.
I was so busy being angry
Mm-hmm.
that I couldn't even let the love in, and nor did I really know how to give the love back.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up going to AA that day, and I was so determined. I mean, I was going to do anything that I needed to do to get sober. And through my healing journey, I had been going to therapists, I had been doing other things, but nothing ever really helped me to heal from the abuse and the trauma, the trauma. And so what happened was, when I started going through those 12 steps, which I share in my book about the dark stories and why I ended up where I was behind the wheel of that car. But then the beauty of it is that transformational healing story of what I did after I started going to the 12-step program. What started happening in my life, how I started changing my thought process, my narrative, the belief system I had, how I responded to life, how I responded to myself. I went within instead of going with outside of myself. So there's so many beautiful parts to the healing journey. And when you're really going through it and you're finding so much joy and peace and beauty in your life, that's when you want to start to be of service and give that to others, because so many of us are suffering and we
Yeah.
don't know how to get out of it. And I just believe
People need help. They need help. They need advice. They need mentors.
the more we share our stories, the more people we can help. I just think of so many women that are out there with their kids trying to balance life, and they don't know how. And maybe they've had trauma themselves, and probably in some capacity they have.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe not in the best marriage. Maybe they're turning to these bad habits, whether it's that that wine culture from others, or excessive working out, or maybe for somebody it's food. There's something that we're turning to that is filling, that we're trying to fill a void from. And that's what I want to help people to know, to connect with them where they are in their lives, and also just share how I've created change in my life.
Love that.
And that's really what it's all about, And as I listen to you talk, Marcy, I mean, our stories are not identical, but a lot of parallels. And, I've told so many people, like, I didn't end up in my line of work by accident. It's like a wounded healer. And when you get to a place of healing yourself, because in my world, there's a saying, you can only take your clients as far as you've gone. So, you have to be able to walk the walk and talk the talk. But I think what people don't realize, and you touched on it, is that trauma doesn't necessarily mean my stepfather sexually abused me. It can just be your circumstances.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be, a capital T. It can be a lowercase t. And we all experience something. We do. We don't get out of this life with the get out of jail free card. Like, we all experience trauma on some level.
Yeah, I know. Just a big one. Let's think about it. Looking to others for our validation and perfectionism. That's a huge one. It's a huge one for women, and not having the beliefs in themselves. And what I have learned, and which is so amazing, that everything is within us. And when we can connect to that first, then everything else starts falling into line around us. People, places, things.
For sure, for sure. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it seems like this October 3rd, 2015, that was like the day your life really began, a new life of clarity and self-love and forgiveness. So, in addition to your sobriety, what else do you do that keeps you level and keeps you grounded and healthy?
Well, what I have learned is to advocate for myself, to set boundaries for myself, to uh, prioritize self-care. We so often, I bet there's a lot of us out there that are always saying yes to everything, and we are trying to do for all. And I am a caretaker, and I like to care for others. But what I've realized is that I have to care for myself first, so that I am the best version of myself. And there
I say that every day. I say that every day.
Yes,
Yes.
and there are practices. I'm sure that you guys say this all the time. Like, we can learn as much as we can possibly learn. We can read every book, we can listen to every podcast, whatever it is. But if we don't put these things into action, nothing will change in our life. And that is what I do. I'm almost 10 years sober. I still every morning practice my gratitude, connect with my higher power. That is so important to me. I
Mm-hmm.
drink a large glass of water. I do some stretching. I do these things to help myself. And now that I'm sober, I like to get up really early. I like to start my day. I like to do for myself. And then I launch into my day, whether it's with work or my family or whatever it's going to be. But I do need to continue my practice to keep myself level at a mind, body, soul practice, and have that all uh, stay level together. And when I don't, and something is off, life is off.
Yeah. So what's your plan for the podcast?
So with the podcast, my tagline is a deep dive into self-discovery.
Okay.
So what I want to do is really find the stories through others. Like, how did you discover yourself? What did you go through? How can others do it, right? So it's always through our stories. What did you do to make this possible for yourself? What are some tools and tricks that we can put into our daily routines? I just want someone to take something from listening to that, and even if it's one thing, start interjecting it into their day so they can start to create some sort of change to their happiness.
Love it.
Yes, for sure. And I mean, that's really what it's all about. Like, we have to live a life of purpose, in my opinion. But I think it just really helps. Like, there's the old saying, misery loves company. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's necessarily that. I feel that, it's we're connected as human beings, like when we all feel like we're having a shared human experience, that we're
Yeah.
not alone in our struggles, whatever they may be, that there's always
Right.
someone else that also experienced it and they got to the other side. And I think that's what's important, to give hope.
Yes.
Absolutely. And you know what, Dr. Terry, you made me think of where we really need to prioritize ourselves and who we have in our lives. Because if you have toxic people in your life, how can you not be toxic yourself?
Yep.
Completely.
Yeah. So it's really, I know it's sometimes hard to let people go, but if they're an energy suck, how can you stay with that person? And it's
That's
okay
right.
to distance yourself. And
Yeah.
when you distance yourself from someone, that allows for you to give room for somebody else. You're going to attract someone better into your life.
That's right. Creating space for something better
Yes.
to come along.
Yes. My friend told me the other day, she's like, just so you know, the word no is a complete sentence.
That's
I'm like,
right. Yes.
yep,
Yes.
you are right.
For
You are right.
sure. For sure. And the people that get upset when we assert boundaries are people who benefit from us not having them, right?
Yes.
They were able to benefit from us giving while they're taking. So, and I do, trauma is my specialty clinically. And, when I'm working with my clients, we look at the big picture, and I often tell them, it's not just about how you nourish your body. It's the energy field around you and what you put your eyes on and what you're listening to. Like, we're feeding ourselves in all ways. And the people around us are so critical to our health. And we attract people of a similar level of health. So as that health rises and our wellness, we don't tolerate the low level
Right.
negative.
We don't.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, you know what? I love everything that you're sharing and how vulnerable you are and how you are able to use this whole platform and message to give people hope, because then what are we here for?
I know. There's
Yeah.
so much hope. Just sometimes we just don't understand that we're not alone and there is help. And goodness gracious, we all really go through the same things.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes.
I mean, we're all women, perimenopausal, postmenopausal, whatever the case may be.
Yes.
We're all going through the same shit.
We're
Yes.
all God bless, help me, please.
That's right. That's right. So, you have really talked about how to turn negative into positive and how to live a good life. But truly, what does well off mean to you?
Well off means being spiritually fit and really feeling content in your life, right? We're not going to be happy all of the time, so that's not realistic. We're not going to have peace all of the time. You're doing well if you have it a lot of the time, but to be content, to be fulfilled, to feel that you are living for you and your purpose, because we need to be ourselves to be the best with someone else.
Amen.
Exactly. And I was victim of this. I thought always like someone else was going to complete me, but I don't need someone else to complete me anymore. I'm enough. You
Amen.
compliment me.
Take us to
Yes.
church, Marci Hopkins. But you know what? You said something. Remember that movie, Jerry Maguire, with Tom Cruise, and he says,
What do you mean, remember that movie?
I know.
Everybody knows that movie.
But I cringe because women were dying to hear their Tom Cruise say to their Renee Zellweger, "You complete me." And I hate that line from that movie because of just what you're saying. No one can do that for us. We have to do that from the inside out.
Marci, thank you so much for coming on and sharing your story. We really, really appreciate it. And we commend you for being such a strong woman.
Absolutely. God bless you. We will be sharing all of your website information, your book information, podcast. Best of luck to you, Marci. Thank you.
Thank you. And may you guys come on Wake Up with Marci one day.
Oh, we will.
From your
We
lips
will.
to God's ears. We'll be there.
Thanks, Marci.
Thank you.
For having me.
Be well.
Bye.
Bye.
Take care.
Thank you.